匿名采访了100个已婚男人。
I anonymously interviewed 100 married men, asking just one question: What's your biggest regret in marriage? I expected to hear things like, I regret not earning more, or I regret not cherishing my wife. But the answers were far more surprising. The number one response: I regret getting married too early. A 38-year-old man said, I got married at 25 and missed so much of life's beauty. Now I'm successful, making over 10 million yuan a year, about 1.37 million US dollars, but all I can do is look at those long-legged beauties without touching them. Another man added, if I had waited until 30, played enough before settling down, I wouldn't feel so cheated now. And honestly, if I'd known my wife would turn into a tired, grumpy housewife, I would have stayed single for a few more years. The second most common regret: not hiding private money. Some said they hand over every paycheck to their wives, can't even treat friends to dinner without permission, and have to make excuses just to buy a game recharge. One admitted, my biggest regret is being too honest. I should have saved a little every month. Another bragged, now I'm smarter. When I get my annual bonus, I only tell her half. The third regret: not dating more before marriage. Some said they married after just 2 girlfriends and now regret it every time they meet an attractive coworker. Others married their first love and wonder if she was really the one. One man put it crudely, men always want to taste variety. Marriage feels like a life sentence. Fourth on the list: regret putting my wife's name on the house. They did it to prove love, but now think it was foolish. If divorce happens, half their assets are gone. I should have done a prenup, many said. The fifth regret: having kids too early. Once children came, their wives only cared about the kids, and they became money-making machines. If I didn't have kids, one man said, I'd be driving a supercar right now. Reading all these answers is frustrating and depressing. But there's another side. 50 men answered differently. They regretted not cherishing their wives when they were young, making them shoulder everything alone, neglecting their kids, and prioritizing work over family. The common thread? All had cheated or nearly lost their marriages. A 45-year-old divorced man told me something unforgettable. My ex-wife was wonderful, kind, caring, never complained. But I took it all for granted. Only after I cheated and divorced did I realize I'd never find anyone like her again. Now I live alone in a 200-square-meter apartment. The fridge is empty. The house is cold. I can hide all the money I want, but I don't even know for whom. This survey reveals a painful truth. Many men's maturity is built on the pain they caused women. They only learn to cherish after losing everything. For some, marriage is just a task to complete. The woman's deep love becomes a burden. Some men don't deserve love, and they certainly don't deserve you. So here's my message to women. Don't give your all too early, not your youth, your trust, or your wealth. Stay independent and always have a plan B. Don't think only men need backup plans. You should have one too. And remember, good men exist, just not as many as you think. Before you meet the right one, love yourself first. Be independent, mature, and clear-minded. Better single than settling, better lonely than wrong. The wrong man will drain your youth and spirit. The right one will make every moment of waiting worthwhile. Keep your eyes open and protect yourself, because in this harsh world, no one deserves your love more than you do yourself.
今儿呢，有一个大妹子啊，我让她给削掉大牙了。
Today, a girl had me laughing so hard I nearly lost my teeth. She's been on blind dates for years without success, and now she wants to eat old grass, but too bad. The good grass already has an owner. Born in 1994, she was a middle school teacher, truly beautiful and classy in her youth. I've known her for 7 or 8 years, and her quest for a partner has been exhausting. Because she has a stable government job, she's super picky. Either the guy doesn't catch her eye, or she feels no spark. I stopped setting her up years ago, but today she suddenly came to me, saying she's still single and wants a match. She's well over 30 now, so I didn't dare take the risk. Just as I was about to refuse, she said she wasn't here for new intros. She regretted being so choosy before, realizing she missed many chances. She knows now to be realistic. The good catches aren't waiting at the end, but were right in front. I thought to myself, is she here to confess her sins? She said no, she wants to fix her mistakes. My heart sank. I knew this wasn't good news. 2 years ago, I set her up with a policeman her age. He really liked her, but she rejected him for being balding. I mean, come on. The guy's a master's grad, parents in stable jobs, owns a house and car, just a bit bald, and she couldn't handle it? In the years since, she dated some civil servants and officers, but they all had flaws, none as good as that policeman. She tossed and turned, realized he was the best, and asked me to check if they could rekindle things. I was fuming. I hate people trying to eat old grass. 2 years later, and now you remember? She sheepishly said she knows her mistakes and wants to cherish now. I'm a softie. Her good attitude got me, so I called the guy. Result? 1 good news, 1 bad. Good news, the silly guy's still single. Bad news, he thinks she's too old and wants someone around 28. She pouted and I said, "Don't you know your own age? Dreaming of young grass?" She admitted she picked through a bunch of duds and came back. I said, "Let's not judge each other." Then she mentioned another guy from a state-owned enterprise, a year younger, with a high salary, about 10,000 renminbi, $1,400 a month, parents in business, and a nanny at home. He'd said if they married, he'd buy her a house and hire a nanny for their kid. But back then, she found him dull, lacking emotional intelligence, and after a few dates, felt no spark, so she ditched him. Guess what? The guys she met later were even worse, making that guy seem the best. She asked me to contact him too. I was so reluctant. Eating old grass is my least favorite thing. Usually either I get scolded or the grass seeker does. But she kept whining about her hard lessons and wanting to cherish now. I softened again, thinking maybe it's fate, and made one last call. Result? The guy flat out refused, saying he's been married for over 2 years, with a kid almost 2. He chased her for a month back then, got the cold shoulder, then got set up with a girl from a government agency through family. They clicked, dated a month, registered in 3, married in 6, and now their kid's over a year old. Hearing this, I was so embarrassed I wanted to crawl into a hole. The girl's heart sank. She cried about her unfair fate, giving me a headache. Soon after, she recalled another guy she'd rejected and wanted me to call him too. I refused outright. I told her to use that time to meet new people. She wasn't reconciled, always thinking the best was ahead, not realizing it was all behind her. Now, fewer people set her up and she's got no resources to meet quality guys. I'm done introducing her. She cried, rambled, then left. Eating old grass is disrespectful. You rejected them because you looked down on them, thinking you could do better. Now you're back, not because you love them, but because you compared and found they're better than you, and you couldn't find anyone better. You expect someone superior to wait for you after your rejection? A loser might, but anyone decent isn't brain dead to be at your beck and call. To anyone wanting old grass, don't do it. They circled around, found nothing better, and came back to use you as a fallback. They see you as a donkey, not a horse. Don't dream they truly like you. From now on, I won't just refuse to set up older single women. I'm done with grass eaters too. Done, dismissed.
我敢说啊，情绪价值这4个字
I dare say that the 2 words emotional value are a nightmare that has plagued countless men and a knot that most men can't untangle. Today, I'm going to break it down for you brothers. What the hell is emotional value? And what kind of magic does it hold that makes so many women willing to abandon their husbands, children, and homes just to chase after it? And can you even provide it? I've been a relationship counselor for over 3 years, and I can tell you this. This term really took off around 2023. Before that, in 2021, whenever a woman wanted a divorce, the excuse was always incompatible values. Just look back, anyone who wanted a divorce would say that, but if you asked them what those values were, they wouldn't know. In 2022, the common excuse shifted to emotional drain, and being with you is too exhausting. Then, by 2023, it exploded into, you can't provide me with emotional value. That's why I say it's just an excuse. Many men had never even heard of this term until their families were in deep trouble, until their wives were dead set on leaving. Only then did they start frantically researching. What is emotional value? Why am I so terrible in her eyes? And then they start trying to provide it. But let me tell you, by then, it's already too late. Because whenever a woman starts harping on about emotional value, it only means one of two things. Either she's been influenced by a close friend who is getting lavished with attention from another man and calls it emotional value, or she herself is already involved with someone else. Those are the only two possibilities. And the so-called emotional value they want isn't what you think it is. It's not about buying her a gift, saying sweet things, or giving her flowers.
No.
What they want is a feeling that makes them laugh and cry, that sends their emotions on a roller coaster, that makes them think about it day and night. To put it bluntly, it's the thrill and pleasure of a secret affair. Do you get it now? Is that what you've been giving? So, when a woman constantly talks about emotional value, it implies the following: 1. I've already experienced this feeling. Someone else gave it to me, and it was amazing. 2. A door to a new world has opened for me. Everything you did for me before, including financial support, is no longer enough. 3. I'm going to chase this feeling with everything I have because I'm completely addicted. And yet, you still tell me, I'm going to start giving her emotional value now.
Can you?
The other person is providing the thrill and pleasure of a secret affair. They can talk on the phone 24/7, their faces lighting up like flowers, sleeping with the phone under their pillow. What do you and your wife talk about? The kids' tuition, what's for dinner, is that exciting? The other couple can hold hands and walk through a small park and feel happy. You could take her to a 5-star hotel and buy her afternoon tea and flowers every day, but will she be happy? You can't provide it. So, brothers, if your wife starts insisting on emotional value, you need to calm down and think about a few things. First, you are not that bad. Don't listen to her attempts to put you down. The truth is, she has had a change of heart, has found someone else, or is no longer content with her life, so she's nitpicking at you for not being romantic. She's trying to find a fatal flaw in you to justify her actions. Second, don't let her brainwash you. Why should you be the one providing everything? Why doesn't she provide it for you? You're earning money, supporting the family, working hard. Why isn't she giving you emotional value? Is that fair? Third, even if you want to save your family, can you even give her what she wants? Remember, it's the thrill and pleasure of a secret affair, like an EKG chart that's constantly fluctuating. You've been married for years. Maybe you barely talk or even sleep in separate rooms. How can you possibly give her that feeling? So, wake up. Emotional value is just a giant conspiracy. It's a beautiful sounding excuse that people who have already cheated and betrayed you use to dump all the blame on your shoulders. Don't be foolish enough to fall for it, taking notes and blaming yourself for not being romantic enough. If you continue down that line of thinking, not only will you lose your family without knowing why, but you'll lose everything and be called a fool in the end.
他扇了外卖员2巴掌，发现打不过，竟叫来男性朋友围殴。
He slapped the delivery driver twice, and when he realized he couldn't win, he called his male friend to help gang up on him. Yet, at the police station, he turned around and reconciled with the driver, while the friend who came to help was detained for 10 days. This isn't a scene from a movie, it's a true story that recently happened in Haikou. In September 2025, a 36-year-old woman named Ms. Lin got into a conflict with a delivery driver over a vehicle scrape. Losing control, she struck him first. Realizing she was overpowered, she immediately called a friend, Mr. Zhang, to come and help assault the driver. The police eventually intervened. Mr. Zhang was detained, while Ms. Lin reached a settlement with the driver. Let's see how many layers of this incident you can understand. Layer 1. The abyss of a people-pleaser personality. Psychological studies show that people like Zhang, often called simps or people-pleasers, suffer from a severe need to gratify others. Since childhood, they've learned to use sacrifice to gain attention and appeasement to feel secure. In Zhang's case, his first reaction to Ms. Lin's call wasn't rational judgment, but a self-satisfying thought. She needs me. This mindset stems from deep-seated insecurity. They fear rejection and being unneeded, so they prove their worth through excessive giving. Data suggests that 85% of such individuals experienced emotional neglect in childhood, and 92% admit to a profound fear of abandonment. Layer 2. The vicious cycle of emotional exploitation. In this toxic relationship, Ms. Lin's behavior is a textbook example of emotional exploitation. She precisely targeted Zhang's psychological weaknesses, using "I need you" to ignite his protective instincts, "only you can help me," to flatter his ego, and "you're so good" as a cheap reward. This carrot and stick model caused Zhang to invest more and more, making it impossible to pull away. Emotional experts point out that 78% of emotional exploiters unconsciously repeat this pattern, often because they witnessed similar dynamics between their parents. Layer 3. The collective hypnosis of social norms. Men should protect women. Fighting for a woman is manly. These traditional concepts act as invisible shackles, imprisoning the choices of many men. Zhang was likely indoctrinated countless times with the idea that fighting for a woman makes you a real man. A social survey revealed that 65% of men admitted to having done things against their principles for the sake of face, with 43% of those instances involving standing up for someone of the opposite sex. Even more alarmingly, toxic advice on short video platforms constantly reinforces these ideas, with messages like, "Someone who loves you will risk their life for you, and if he won't fight for you, he doesn't love you enough." Layer 4. A severe lack of legal awareness. Zhang's greatest mistake was confusing an emotional entanglement with the boundaries of the law. The law clearly states that assaulting another person can lead to up to 15 days of detention. But people-pleasers often operate on wishful thinking, believing that breaking the law for someone they like is worthwhile. Judicial data from 2024 shows that in public order cases arising from emotional disputes, 83% of the male parties involved said they never considered the legal consequences at the time. This indifference to the law ultimately costs them dearly. Layer 5. A complete loss of self-worth. The most tragic part is that individuals like Zhang often fail to recognize their own value. After his detention, the questions Zhang should have been asking himself are, why was I willing to break the law for someone like her? And why doesn't my devotion earn an equal return? Therapists indicate that 90% of such individuals suffer from low self-esteem. They need to be needed to feel a sense of existence and prove their worth through sacrifice. This mindset is like a drug addiction. It provides short-term satisfaction but leads to long-term self-destruction. Why do people continue to fall into this simp trap? The underlying reasons are startling. 1. A lack of emotional education. 78% of these individuals grew up without proper guidance on romantic relationships. They were taught that giving leads to receiving, but no one ever told them that love requires mutual effort. 2. Toxic traditional concepts. Ideas like men must protect women act as a spiritual opium, misleading men into believing that proving their worth through violence is justified. 65% of men admit they were influenced by the misguided notion that fighting for a girl is cool during their youth, and 43% of them ultimately paid a price for it. 3. Low self-esteem. 92% of these individuals exhibit low self-esteem. The fear of, if I don't help her, she'll leave me, drives their self-destructive actions. 4. Reinforcement by social media. Toxic content like "fighting for you is true love" is rampant online, garnering hundreds of millions of daily views, primarily targeting males aged 18 to 25. Many young people are brainwashed into thinking extreme behavior is a sign of true love. 5. The normalization of emotional exploitation. This phenomenon has become a formula for exploitation, where the abuser uses phrases like, "I need you" and only you can help to manipulate, trapping the giver deeper in the cycle. 6. The inability to cut losses. These individuals often fall prey to the sunk cost fallacy. The more they invest, the harder it is to walk away. Zhang himself admitted, "I had helped her many times before and always thought things would get better." Finally, I want to ask you all, do you know anyone like this? And would you be willing to sacrifice without limits for someone you like?
现在结婚率都低成什么样了？
Marriage rates are so low now. What's going on? Girls don't want to get married anymore. Why isn't domestic violence criminalized? Why can't we mandate that a husband's income must be split half with his wife and that he has to pay alimony after divorce? Why can't we have rules like that? Clearly, girls are afraid of being beaten, afraid of having no security, so they don't want to marry. But if we really implemented those rules, men wouldn't want to marry anymore. If girls don't want to marry, it's no big deal. There's always someone to urge them. Parents, relatives, older married sisters around them. If no one urges, you can coax, deceive, or act out deep affection. Girls are so trusting, they'll believe it. They still believe in love. Even after seeing so many horrifying cases online, if they meet a man offline who understands them, they'll think he's different. Girls are so easily morally bound, so easily swept up. Seeing their parents anxious, they'll go on blind dates. But men are different. If they see something disadvantageous, they'll bolt, no matter who advises. For years, girls not wanting to marry hasn't affected anything. Society runs just fine. Girls who don't marry won't cause chaos or force boys to take them home. But if men don't want to marry, who knows what'll happen? This system's design isn't to protect the weak, but to maintain balance, a safest balance for the vested interests. Domestic violence isn't criminalized because if it were, the cost of marriage would rise. Forcing half income sharing would strip away the biggest benefit in traditional marriage: invisible labor exploitation and property control. If girls don't marry, society still turns because they still create value, work hard, consume, care for distant families. They're still in the system. Even better, single women are often more focused, willing to overtime, perfect cogs. But if men don't marry, it's a big problem. Plunging marriage rates are just the surface. Deeper is that marriage is the most effective way for the system to assign social roles. Men stably as workforce, women unpaid for reproduction and care. This system has run for millennia. If men exit en masse, first fertility collapses, second families disintegrate, social stability costs rise. Third, many men detach from the settle-down narrative, potentially becoming unstable factors. So, do you get it? Girls not marrying is just non-cooperation with the system. Men not marrying destroys it. Thus, the system chooses to coax women into marriage rather than constrain men, fearing loss of their cooperation. Those urging relatives, affectionate acting men, morally binding parents, they're essentially temporary stabilizers for the system. They're not caring about you. They're unconsciously upholding an ancient order. But always remember, you have a choice, not just marry or not, but whether to play by these game rules or even exploit them for your gain. The system fears not women unmarried, but women seeing through the rules and choosing the most advantageous path. When you're no longer the one to be appeased but the rule maker, the world will truly hear your voice. Remember, Qingxing people don't go with the flow, they make waves.
外面乱交的这个女人，她究竟有什么特点？
Many men are curious about the kind of women who tend to get involved in messy, chaotic relationships, yet few truly understand their traits. First, we must clarify what defines a promiscuous and emotionally unstable woman. At their core, such women lack loyalty, are fickle in affection, incapable of devotion, and ultimately selfish. They love no one but themselves. If you have such a woman around you and think she's cheerful, outgoing, easy to get along with, then you're gravely mistaken. Her warmth is merely a facade. Women who are truly reckless in love typically share 4 major traits. The first, they have no sense of personal boundaries. They're remarkably skilled at attracting men, making acquaintances almost anywhere, at parties, dinners, business meetings, on trips, even while taking out the trash, and effortlessly exchange contact info. The second, they are emotionally detached. They don't cling, don't beg, and can move on in an instant. Today she might tell you it's over. Tomorrow she'll block you. The next day, she's already entertaining someone new. Their ability to move on is breathtakingly fast. The third, they have countless male friends, best friends, coworkers, clients, big brothers, and more. You'll never really know if they're just friends or something more. When questioned, they'll casually say, "Think whatever you want," or "Don't worry, you're the one I love most." In truth, they love no one. They simply keep whoever benefits them. Those who please or spend on them stay. Those who don't are discarded. And the fourth trait, the most dangerous one, is their strong sexual confidence and experience. They're uninhibited, physically expressive, and have mastered how to satisfy men, often leaving them obsessed and unable to let go. Their charm lies in their skill and control. They make men feel desired, but it's an illusion. If you encounter such a woman, don't think you're lucky. Being with someone who knows how to please doesn't mean you're loved. These women are professionals in emotional manipulation. You'll fall fast, fall deep, and when they walk away, you'll be the one left in pain. So, if you're unsure about the kind of woman you're with, take a step back and evaluate carefully, because mistaking passion for love can cost you both your heart and your sanity. And before we continue, let us know in the comments where you're watching this video from. Connecting with viewers from all around the world is a huge inspiration for us. Thank you so much.
我妈为了逼我结婚，正在绝食。
My mother has been on a hunger strike to force me into marriage. She hasn't eaten for 2 days and even threatened to cut ties with me. I'm terrified and don't know what to do. Here's how it all began. I was born in 1996, and this May my parents arranged a blind date with a man born in 1997. We dated for about a month before deciding to be together, but everything afterward happened so fast I could hardly keep up. After just 1 month, my parents wanted to meet his family. At that first meeting, the parents from both sides immediately proposed an engagement during the National Day holiday. According to our local custom, the bride price was set at 188,000 yuan, about $26,000, and my family would give a car as dowry. Surprisingly, both families hit it off perfectly, while I sat there dazed, feeling like I was being swept along, and somehow I got engaged without even realizing it. Then, in early August, my boyfriend's company suddenly announced he would be sent abroad for 4 years. He was thrilled about it, saying it was a rare opportunity to broaden his horizons and that he absolutely had to go. He told me he wanted to marry me by the end of the year to stabilize our relationship, and that before leaving, he hoped I could be pregnant with our child. I was stunned. Deep down, I knew I had to be responsible for my own life and for any potential child's life. It was a risk I couldn't afford to take. So I told my parents I didn't want to get married. But instead of supporting me, they scolded me. Marriage always requires some sacrifice. You're already 30. If you don't choose him, who else will you find better? He has a house, a car. You and your child will live comfortably. Miss this chance, and you'll only find a divorced man later. I felt completely lost. After hearing her story, I couldn't help but feel heavy-hearted, because this kind of marriage pressure is a reflection of countless traditional families. To many parents, whether you love each other or not doesn't matter. Whether you're happy doesn't matter. All that matters is that you get married, so they can feel they've fulfilled their parental duty. But forcing marriage through self-harm is a form of emotional blackmail. They hurt themselves to make you compromise. Yet you must not gamble your life away because of that. Marriage is your choice, and so are the risks, and you'll be the one living with the consequences. No matter how anxious your parents are, they can't face your post-marriage struggles for you. As for the man, the first red flag is the speed. 1 month to define the relationship, 2 months to discuss marriage, and now he's talking about pregnancy before leaving. That's not love, that's project management. It feels like you're just a KPI on his life plan. The second issue is self-centeredness. He values his career far more than your emotions. His talk of stability isn't about love. It's about tying you down with marriage and a child so he can leave without worry. Is that love or calculation disguised as responsibility? And the third is the hidden risk, a long-distance marriage from day one, pregnancy, motherhood, and loneliness all falling on your shoulders. That's not a small sacrifice. It's a bet with your future. As a matchmaker, I've always believed, if marriage feels like completing someone else's assignment, don't accept it. If it feels rushed and your feelings are ignored, have the courage to slow down. I hope everyone can meet the one who truly chooses them and find a marriage born of love, not compromise.
来，今天不下雨，咱们下个瓜。
No rain today, boil some noodles, we're good. Happy folks don't need to show off. Who says matchmaking's easy? Step up, I'll clean you out. Here's the deal. A client demanded a refund of 2,000 renminbi, about $280 for matchmaking fees. Got the face to ask? Last night after live stream, about to sleep, I saw a colleague ranting in our group. His client wanted the 2,000 renminbi back after 2 intros. I've told colleagues countless times, don't take cases from picky older single women, don't take money from the struggling. He didn't listen, serves him right. He took her case because she's a 1985-born woman, divorced over 10 years, raised a 3-year-old alone, tough life. Now, she wants to live for herself. My kind-hearted colleague, moved by her sob story over Lao's Han green tea, thought such a nice woman deserves a home. Her request was simple, just a family. My naive colleague with clear, foolish eyes said not charging feels wrong, so he took 2,000 renminbi symbolically, set up 2 guys to try. She promised quadruple thanks on marriage registration day. Man, my colleague's green. Old hands like me don't buy such promises, he did. Good advice can't save the stubborn. Back to it. Poor colleague, like a donkey lured by a carrot, got to work. First, an engineer born 1980, 1.8 m tall, 300,000 renminbi, $42,000 yearly income, fit, goes to gym, decent looks, owns house and car. After meeting, she said she couldn't understand him, complained he's a master's grad while she's only vocational school. Her income's 60,000 renminbi, $8,400 a year in the service industry, won't specify. She might see this. She griped he didn't care for her, talked fast, didn't text first after 2 hours. She deleted him. Half a day later, wanted to add him back. He refused flat out. First try, flop. Second, colleague set her up with a 1984-born chef, 150,000 renminbi, $21,000 yearly, met at a cafe in the afternoon. She said she doesn't drink coffee then, can't sleep. The honest chef didn't order coffee. She came back upset, demanded an explanation, said he lacked tact, didn't offer water or a meal. She insisted colleague find another guy or force the engineer to add her back and apologize. Lady, you okay? Only picking on the soft ones? Try that with me. I'll spit in your face. Refund? Fine, I'll refund. But you think 2,000 renminbi, $280 is 20 million? We took your money. You can look down on us, but not our other clients or my colleague. They're human, not gods. The guy didn't like you, you blame us? To folks wanting to matchmake for cash without loving it, open your eyes. This happens daily. Dare to join? Try it. I'll slap you awake.
一个女生啊，绝对不会因为你对她好。
A woman will absolutely never entrust her life to you just because you're nice to her. On the contrary, the nicer you are, the more you give without asking for anything in return, the more she will ignore you. You have to know how to offend her cleverly. Only then will she rely on you and fall for you. Today, I'm going to pass on my exclusive playbook to all my brothers, teaching you how to use offense to open the door to love. This is the story of a client of mine, a 33-year-old commercial director. His job is incredibly demanding, with constant business trips and a completely flipped sleep schedule. As a result, his love life was a blank slate, even though everyone longs for a warm embrace in the dead of night. A while back, he did an interview for a media outlet and met a 25-year-old influencer. He didn't think much of it at first, but this young woman exuded a surprising sense of maturity and radiance. They exchanged contacts for work, and after chatting a few times, they discovered a mutual interest in tennis. So, they started playing together once a week. Every time our guy went all out. He'd research Michelin and Black Pearl restaurants in advance to take her to dinner after their game. He'd also shower her with gifts on holidays. To outsiders, it looked like they were progressing smoothly. But in reality, there wasn't a single spark of romance between them. The relationship was stuck. Anxious, he came to me, hoping I could help him break the stalemate. Frankly, he's a good catch and no rookie when it comes to dating. So why was he being played by a girl so much younger? After reviewing their chat history, I understood instantly. This man wasn't just being reserved. He was catering to her every whim without any boundaries. If she said 1 + 1 was greater than 3, he'd nod like it was the gospel truth. He put himself in a subordinate position, creating an imbalanced relationship from the start. Think about it. If he's already this subservient before they're even official, what would happen if they got together? He'd lose himself completely and become a slave to the relationship. Some of you might ask, was the girl intentionally stringing him along? Let's put ourselves in her shoes. If you met a great girl who is instantly obsessed with you, praising you even when you're terrible at video games, would you rush to make her your girlfriend? Probably not. Similarly, when a woman meets a man who is completely obedient, her instinct is to keep observing because no one wants to make a rash decision they'll later regret. After taking on his case, the first thing we did was perform a lovesick brain removal surgery. This process required completely eliminating his old habits, the fawning, the pleasing, the boundless initiative, and the low EQ remarks. From that moment on, he had to be reborn as a man with swagger, a man who knew how to offend a woman skillfully. Here is the spectacular showdown after the surgery. This time, we didn't shatter her expectations right away. First, we let her think he was still the same tame little puppy. I told him to chat with her, as he normally would. He texted, "I found an amazing documentary yesterday about the history of the beauty industry. It's pretty interesting. Wanna watch it?" She replied, "I saw a bit of it before. Didn't find it that interesting." At first glance, her reply seems fine. But if you look closer, you can see her superior attitude in the relationship. She could have been more tactful, but she chose not to. This was my cue. I had him send back one sentence. "I guess I'm just too easygoing." This simple, out-of-the-blue line was transformative. It expressed his slight dissatisfaction and served as the opening salvo for our offensive. To advance the relationship, we had to shatter her existing perception of him. She didn't reply immediately. Brothers, don't panic at this stage. She might be thinking, surprised, or even angry. It doesn't matter. Just stick to our rhythm. As expected, they didn't speak for the rest of the night. The next evening, I had him send her a poke. She replied with a single word, "What?" full of annoyance. This showed she didn't understand or accept his rebellion from the day before. I had him continue. "Tell me, isn't it rude to keep knocking on a door that won't open?" She replied, "Why are you suddenly asking this?" She clearly knew what he was implying but was trying to evade it. We pressed on. "I just want to know if what I'm doing is even worth it." This was an offensive move to demand a clear stance. The girl, not being foolish, replied, "Whether it's worth it depends on what you think. Anyway, I've had a really fun time knowing you. When I'm with you, even work doesn't feel tiring because you're such a good person." A classic friend zone card. But we weren't going to accept it. I had him reply, "Don't get me wrong. I'm not a good person. I have other intentions with you." We transformed him from a white rabbit into a mysterious gray wolf. She challenged him. "Oh yeah? What are your intentions?" This was a loaded question. She was likely trying to get him to praise her to satisfy her ego. We made her wait. She got impatient. "Why can't you say?" Only then did I have him reply, I'm afraid you couldn't handle it if I told you. This is the essence of the offensive. 3 parts provocation, 3 parts curiosity, and 4 parts ambiguity. Her emotions were immediately stirred. She replied, I'd like to see what you have to say. At the critical moment, I had him go for the kill. I'm after your allure, your foxy charm. This statement was a world apart from the meek persona he had shown before. And contrast is a primary source of attraction. Of course, you can't just copy this blindly. For them, this line was guaranteed to make her blush. And it worked. She took 2 full minutes to reply. So you're done pretending to be a white rabbit? We couldn't back down. Can't act anymore. She asked, so, what's the real you hiding under the disguise? This is where we had to leave some mystery. He replied, what you see is what you get. I'm tired, going to sleep. This was the first time he had ever ended their conversation. And miraculously, after that exchange, their relationship began to change. She became shy, and a romantic tension filled the air. I then had him use work as an excuse to turn down 1 or 2 of her tennis invitations. After that, she began to actively discover his good qualities. In the end, they got together and began a sweet romance. So, brothers, often it's not that you lack charm, but that you're using the wrong methods, leaving women with no desire to even get to know you. When you like someone, you don't have to follow their every lead. Learn the art of clever offense. It might just be your highway to love. And so, we've journeyed together through a spectrum of emotions, from sweetness and bitterness to the bitter taste of late awakenings in the multifaceted world of relationships. The stories you've just heard are not merely isolated incidents. They are pieces of a larger, more intricate puzzle that depicts love and marriage in modern society. In this picture, we see the pressure of social norms, cleverly disguised selfishness, hearts that are blind with devotion, and the gnawing regret that consumes people when they realize they've lost what mattered most. We've also witnessed the manipulation hidden behind beautiful phrases like emotional value, and the pickiness so extreme that it costs people their own chance at happiness. So, after all is said and done, what is the greatest lesson that Chinese emotion wants to share with you? It is not a formula for conquering someone, nor a tactic for winning in a relationship. The most precious lesson lies in one word: understanding. First, understanding yourself, who you are, what you deserve, and where your non-negotiable boundaries lie. Second, understanding others, looking beyond the flowery words and grand gestures to see their true nature and motivations. And finally, understanding the rules of the game, of life, that happiness is not a prearranged destination, but a path that requires clarity, courage, and a heart that knows how to cherish. Whoever you are, whether you are searching for love or trying to preserve it, always remember that the most important relationship is the one you have with yourself. Do not rush out of loneliness. Do not compromise out of pressure. True love will not ask you to sacrifice your worth. It will build you up and help you shine. Love wisely, live proudly, and never stop believing in the happiness that you truly deserve. Thank you for listening. This is Chinese Emotion. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as we continue to explore more emotional stories together.